What's up everybody, I'm Rafael and welcome to Network Engineer Pro. Welcome to part 3 of taking my Dell PowerEdge R620 server and turning it into a virtualization beast for network engineers. In this video, I'll be showing you how to install EVE-NG inside of ESXi 6.7. Now, in part 1, I configured the iDRAC port with an IP address and I got my hard drive set up in a RAID 5. In part 2, I downloaded ESXi 6.7, and now here in part 3, we're finally ready to go and install EVE-NG. EVE-NG is similar to GNS3 and CML, or Cisco Modeling Labs, formerly known as Viral. It's a network emulator that allows you to run virtual network appliances, so routers, switches, firewalls, and tons of other things. You can build and lab out really complex topologies. This is perfect for studying for certifications, not just CCNA, but CCNP, even the CCIE. What's really awesome is that it works with a ton of different vendors. So we're talking Cisco, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Fortinet, Linux, Windows, and you can do Wireshark captures as well. You can literally right-click a node on a router, pick a specific interface to capture packets on, and then Wireshark's automatically gonna pop up and do its thing. I cannot stress enough how important that is when learning and troubleshooting particular protocols or technologies. What's even better, it's free. That's right, there's a community edition that's 100% free. They also have a pro version that isn't free, and it has a bit more features than the community edition. But if you're just getting into network emulators, the community edition is perfect. And that's what I'm going to be using in my lab today. One other thing I want to mention is that EVE-NG does not come with images. With EVE-NG, you have to provide the images on your own. So how does one get images for EVE-NG? The preferred way is to pay for a Cisco Modeling Lab license, CML. CML is Cisco's network emulator. Buying that gives you access to the CML platform and access to the latest images, and it costs $200. I did purchase the CML license and I tried CML for a little while, and personally I still like EVE-NG better. And the great thing is that the images that come with CML also work in EVE-NG. I'm sure you can find Cisco images for Eve out there on the internet, but you're not really supposed to do that. You want legit images, the right way is to get a CML license or be a Cisco employee. With that being said, let's download and get Eve installed. All right, so the first thing you want to do is you want to head to eve-ng.net. From here, you want to click the download tab. Right away, you're going to see the EVE-NG professional version listed here. This is the premium paid for version that I was mentioning earlier. I'm going to be using the free community edition in my example, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And you can see here that I have two options. I have an OVF and I have an ISO. The EVE OVF is like a pre-built template for a virtual machine. It's going to allow you to get the VM up quickly and easily. When you deploy the OVF, it's already going to have things like RAM, storage, and CPU configured. And you can change those things after the fact, like after the VM is created. But if you wanted to get the VM up as quick as possible, the OVF is perfect for that. I'm interested in the ISO. The ISO is going to allow me to customize the VM as I see fit. So I can customize the RAM, the CPU, and other configurations. And it ultimately gives me full control of the VM configuration from the very beginning. So I'll create the virtual machine, boot it with this EVE ISO, and go through the installation step by step. I'm interested in the EVE-NG ISO Google Mirror, so what you would do is you just click this link and it would download to your local PC. I've already downloaded it, so I'm going to go ahead and save you a step. Now that you've downloaded it to your local PC, what you need to do next is to get it up and running in ESXi. So let me go to my ESXi environment, and the first thing you're going to do is you need to upload the ISO to the Datastore. Now, a Datastore is like a storage container for files in ESXi. You can upload templates, VM files, and ISO images locally, which is exactly what we're going to do. So to get the ISO uploaded to the server's Datastore, you're going to click Storage. And you can see here I have Datastore 1, and it gives you some specs about the capacity and how much free space. You want to click Datastore Browser. I've already created a directory called ISO images and it's empty, so I need to get that ISO image uploaded in this folder. So I'm going to click upload, and it's automatically going to open up the Windows File Explorer, and you navigate to the directory that your ISO is and you click open. You can see here there's a little progress bar. It's already on 4%. I can go ahead and close this, and it's still going to upload it to the Datastore, and I can also see the progress here under recent tasks. So once this is done, we'll continue. and it has completed successfully. That ISO is now in my Datastore. After you upload the ISO to the Datastore, the next step is to create the virtual machine. So I'm going to click Virtual Machines here, and I'm going to hit Create and Register a VM. And you have a few options here. You can create a new virtual machine, you can deploy a virtual machine from an OVF or an OVA, or register an existing virtual machine. I'm going to click the first option. I want to create a new virtual machine from scratch. If I chose to download the OVF file that I mentioned earlier from Eve, I would click this second or this middle option here. Well, I'm going to click the first option, create a new virtual machine, and hit next. Now I need to give the virtual machine a name. I'm going to call it something simple, so I'm just going to say EVE-NG Community. The compatibility is already set for ESXi 6.7. The guest OS family, this is going to be Linux, and specifically, you're going to put Linux Ubuntu 64-bit. After you've made these selections, go ahead and hit next. Now it's asking you, select a storage type into Datastore. So I only have one Datastore, so I'm going to hit next. And here's where you can customize every single setting of the virtual machine. So for CPU, I'm going to give it 4 CPUs. This I can change later if for some reason it's not enough. And something I want to mention, expand the CPU option, and you're going to scroll down. You see this option here, hardware virtualization, expose hardware assisted virtualization to the guest OS. You need to check this. Make sure this is checked when you're building your EVM. After that, for memory, let me change this to gigabytes real quick. I'm going to give it 16 gigs, not 196, but 16. For the hard disk, I'm going to go with 200 gigs. Now I want to mention something about the hard disk. If you need to expand the size later, you can't just come in here to your settings and just expand it like this. What you need to do is create a second hard disk with the extra storage you want to add. So I'm going to create mine with 200 gigs. I think that's going to be more than enough for what I need. And I'm going to scroll down, and my network adapter is already set to my VM network. This is what I want. For the CD drive option, I'm going to select Datastore ISO file. Now, remember that ISO image that we uploaded to our Datastore? That's what we're going to select here. I'm telling the virtual machine to boot using this ISO. Now that that's selected, I can hit next. And it says ready to complete, review your settings. So here you can double check everything before you finish and create your virtual machine. So I'm going to hit finish because I'm happy with the settings, and the virtual machine is created. Before I turn the virtual machine on, I want to show you something when it comes to networking. So here under port groups, this is the VM network. This is the network that we put the EVE-NG community VM, my EVM. And you see here where it says allow promiscuous mode to no. We need to change that. We need to allow promiscuous mode. So to do that, hit edit settings on the port group, and under security, promiscuous mode here, make sure you hit accept. You need to click accept here because there's going to be a lot of MAC addresses that are going to be coming from your EVE-NG VMNix MAC address going into the virtual switch. By default, the guest operating system's virtual network adapter only receives frames that are meant for it. So frames with a destination MAC address that aren't for your EVM network adapter get dropped. So setting promiscuous mode to accept will let the VM receive all traffic. With that being said, I've hit accept and I'm going to hit save. I am now ready to boot the virtual machine. So what you do is you just click here and power on. Let's go ahead and open up the console. You can see here that it's asking us to select a language. So we are at the installation step 1 of Eve. So I'm going to hit enter for English, and I want to install the EVM and select a language for the installation process. I want English. I'm in the United States. Now it's asking me to configure a host name for the system. I'm happy with EVE-NG, so I'm going to hit enter. So it's saying configure the clock based on your present location. Your time zone is America, New York. I'm not in New York, but I am in the Eastern time zone, so the time zone is correct. I'll hit enter for yes. Now it's giving us the option to configure an HTTP proxy if we want. I don't care about that for this environment, so I'm just going to hit enter. Now it's saying, do you want to apply automatic updates or not? Now I'm not a fan of automatic updates, so I'm going to hit enter for no automatic updates. Excellent. So the installation's finished. It's saying installation complete. It's time to boot into your new system. Make sure to remove the installation media so that you boot into the new system rather than restarting the installation. So I'm going to hit enter for continue. So as my EVE-NG VM is rebooting, you can see that it's going out to the internet and it's getting updates. Okay, perfect. So EVE-NG has finished installing on this VM, and this is a good sign right here. You want to make sure that the EVE-NG VM gets an IP address via DHCP. Now you can take that IP address, put it in your browser, and access EVE. Let's do it. Perfect. We can access the EVE GUI. Now it's presenting us with a login page, and the default login is going to be admin, and the password is EVE. This is beautiful right here. So there's some really cool things you can see. The first thing you want to check out is system. You can see system status. So depending on how many nodes you're running and what you're doing and what kind of nodes you're running, you can get CPU info, memory info, all kinds of things. It'll tell you how many nodes you're running. Now, from the main page, what you would do to create a lab is right here, add a new lab. You can give the lab a name. I'm just going to say test. You can give it a description, put some tasks if you want, and I'm gonna hit save. Now, here is the main topology screen. It's blank, but what you can do is right click anywhere, select node, and you're gonna be presented with all of these different nodes you can use, all the different vendors. Cisco, Juniper, Nokia, Viptela. Problem is we haven't uploaded any images, and we're interested in Cisco images, so we're not gonna be able to deploy anything. The only thing you can deploy is a virtual PC. So if you wanna connect something to your network with an IP address so you can test pings and things like that, that's what this would be used for. But that's it. We need to upload the images. But at this point, we've successfully created our first VM in the ESXi environment and installed EVE. Alrighty then, the VM is created and EVE-NG is up and running. We're done, right? Nope, we actually can't deploy any routers or switches because we haven't uploaded any images yet. Now, I was actually going to include that process here in this video, but I didn't want the video to be too long. There's a specific process that you have to follow to get CML images uploaded into EVE successfully. It's not complicated or anything, but I think it deserves its own video. At this point, right now, we are done with the EVE-NG installation. And if you're ready to see how to upload CML images into EVE, then check the description for a link for that video so you can check it out right after this. I really hope you all enjoyed the video and learned something. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can follow Network Engineer Pro on Facebook. I'll put all the links in the description. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. That's all for now. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.